Well, this just into the CBS News Texas newsroom. MedStar ambulance in Fort Worth has implemented its extreme weather protocol as the heat index is now over 105 degrees. That is the feels like temperature Scott was explaining. So what does it mean for you? MedStar is going to give a higher priority response to patients outside in unprotected areas. So far, crews have responded to 4 patients since the protocol went into effect just this afternoon.
All new at 5 o'clock, 2 police.
Thank you, Rick. We'll see you in a minute. The dangerous conditions have MedStar, the paramedics in Tarrant County, activating their emergency plan. They will put higher priority on calls for patients outside. So far today, they have run on 4 calls because of the heat.
Well, as an excessive heat warning and heat advisory collide with the holiday weekend, health experts are warning those with outdoor plans to be cautious. The Salvation Army of North Texas had activated its heat relief services. This includes providing shade and water. Some locations also distribute free box fans. Allie Spilliard says more on the potential problems and response thus far to this blast of heat.
As the heat index soared to dangerous temps Saturday.
It's a little humid. It's very humid outside. It's like you're having to eat the air.
North Texans looked for relief wherever they could.
We're all dripping in sweat, but the kids got in the splash pad over there and that helped a lot. So now we're going to go grab snow cones.
With nearly all of the Metroplex under a heat advisory through the weekend, experts urged people to limit time outside.
Just today, we've already responded to 4 calls.
MedStar spokesperson Matt Zavatsky says that number was likely to rise headed into the late afternoon. Yesterday, his crews treated 12 people for heat-related illness with symptoms like fatigue, profuse sweating, and nausea, which he says often catches people off guard when it's humidity and not temperature alone, pushing people into the danger zone. Because of all the rain and all the storms that we have had, the ground is pretty saturated, and it's unusual for us to see humidity levels like you folks report in the 70%, 80%. So even at 90 degrees, when you've got 80% humidity, that heat index can be up to 103, 104, and we start a special response protocol once the heat index gets to be 105. So while some may debate just how hot it feels.
Hotter than Louisiana? No. I think they're mistaken.
Experts urge hydration, shade, and limiting some of that summer fun spent outdoors.
As long as we got water and somewhere we can lay in a river somewhere, we good.
Have a good day.
In Dallas, Allie Spilliards, NBC5.
Yeah, everyone trying to keep cool. In addition to keeping extra IV fluids and ice packs on hand in its ambulances, MedStar says it's also increasing staffing Monday with crowds expected in Fort Worth for Opal's Walk for Freedom. And we hope you...
Dylan mentioned, and as you'll have probably experienced, it is extremely hot out there. The heat will likely affect us as well for several days. Fox 4's Amelia Jones spoke with MedStar today about their calls this weekend and how you can protect yourself. Amelia.
Hey, Blake, yeah, it's important to know the symptoms and when you need to get inside to cool off. MedStar told us today that they've responded to 9 heat-related emergencies this weekend. This includes calls for heat exhaustion and heat stroke. So if you are going to be out in the heat doing activities, it is important to know the symptoms. MedStar says people suffering from heat exhaustion will start to feel dizzy, profusely sweat, or even feel nauseous. MedStar says this is when you want to get inside somewhere with AC and start to rehydrate. MedStar says if heat exhaustion goes untreated, it can turn into heat stroke. That's when the body loses the ability to sweat and regulate body temperature. That's when you need to call 911. MedStar says over the last few weeks, the patients they've seen are people who work outside, like landscapers or construction workers, elderly people, and people who just moved to the area.
We see the biggest spike in heat-related illnesses at the beginning of the summer because, again, the folks that have moved here from other parts of the country that aren't used to this kind of heat experience those symptoms, and just regular Texans who just say, hey, it's going to be okay. It's the beginning of the year. Won't be that bad.
Children are also very vulnerable to heat-related illnesses. MedStar wants to remind parents to watch kids closely if they're outside, even for a short period of time, and never leave a child in a hot car. In a vehicle, MedStar says that the temperature rises 10 degrees every minute. The same advice goes for pets. In fact, MedStar told us crews had to rescue a dog who was locked in a hot car this morning. Blake, back to you.
All right, Amelia, thanks.
You know, with those high temperatures mixed with humidity like we haven't felt in a while, that's a potentially dangerous combination. Check this out here. First responders, they actually answered dozens of those heat-related calls in Fort Worth yesterday, bringing their total to 50 patients since May, with the hottest months of the summer still ahead of us. MedStar is preparing to treat all kinds of emergencies, minor and severe.
We have a lot of new people that have moved into North Texas, and they aren't prepared. And they don't realize when we say it is hot in North Texas, it's not like a California hot, it's not like a New York hot, and people are just not accustomed to that kind of heat.
So remember to please heed to those warnings there.
Ben, thank you. And just another reminder along with this severe weather, you heard Adrian talk about this throughout the morning, the heat advisory they will be facing for the next few days. MedStar, the paramedics in Tarrant County activated their emergency plan. Well, yesterday, because of the dangerous conditions, they are putting a higher priority on calls for patients outside. Right now, the state's power grid is operating under normal conditions.
Storms, and folks are already having to deal with the heat. They're really concerned about it. They're feeling it right now as it's already catching it up for some folks. There's no doubt about that. Some people just really concerned about it. Our Olivia Leach, she was out there today spending time with folks, just trying to cool down, and she spoke with MedStar to help you plan for those sizzling temperatures ahead.
We knew it was coming, but even this Dallas native was stunned by the heat this weekend.
I wasn't ready for the actual summer. You know, it was kind of creeping up.
But Brianna and her daughter were staying cool at the fountains at Clyde Warren Park today and staying in the shade.
Because if I take it off, it's really, really hot. And when I put it back, it feels a lot better.
Some families spent the day at the Lake Highlands North Recreation Center's splash pad, hoping the cool waters there could help them stay cool.
It's so hot.
MedStar says they often get a spike in heat-related calls this time of year. They've already had 110 since May 1st, and temperatures like this, heat exhaustion and heat stroke are a real concern.
So heat exhaustion is when the body begins to have heat fatigue. People will be sweaty, they'll still be conscious, their skin will be cool, a little bit clammy maybe.
If left untreated, heat exhaustion can turn into heat stroke, which could be deadly. MedStar says when the temperature soars above 90 degrees, you should remember these tips. Always drink plenty of water during the day. Stay in a well-ventilated place with a fan or air conditioning, and wear light or loose clothing if you do go outdoors.
But the best plan is to not go outside if you don't have to when the weather is super hot. Stay indoors with air conditioning, especially if you have underlying medical conditions.
According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, in just 10 minutes, a car can heat up by 20 degrees. So never leave your child unattended in a car, and make it a habit to check your entire car before you leave.
Just figure out some ways to remind yourself that your kids are in the back of the car, especially for new parents who aren't used to summers in Texas.
With temperatures expected to hit above 100 degrees this week, MedStar will be on high alert.
Get ready now and prepare for that now.
In Dallas, Olivia Leach, CBS News, Texas.
Looks like a lot of fun in downtown Dallas earlier.